If you are watching video 2, it means that you have completed your classwork for Lesson 8, Module 3, and you are ready to see if you got them correct. So for Exercise 2, you had to order them least to greatest. I asked you to put a number line, and it just needed to be a rough sketch of each one. So here we had to do a negative 1.5 and the opposite, which would be a positive 1.5. Then we had to do a negative 1 and a positive 0.25. Since I had positives and negatives, I placed 0 in the middle. And then I did some benchmarks of negative 1 and negative 2. Negative 1.5 is the same as 1.5. It's halfway between negative 1 and negative 2. Negative 1 would be right at negative 1. 0.25 is positive, so it becomes to the right of 0. And 1.5 is 1.5, or halfway between 1 and positive 2. So now, to order them least to greatest, I just simply list them left to right. So negative 1.5, negative 1, 0.25, and 1.50. On the next one, we had to decide if bills and refunds, if those are negative numbers or positive numbers. Since a bill is money that you owe, it would be negative numbers. It's subtracted out of your bank account. And a refund is something that you receive or get back, so your bank account would go up money. Those are good things. So again, we had the bill, negative 38.12, negative 67.5, and a positive 25.89. So I placed 0 here, and I knew 25.89 would be to the right because it's positive. Negative 38.12 would come first after 0 because I thought about it as 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, negative 38.12. And then negative 67.55 would be further to the left. So again, least to greatest, simply negative 6.55, negative 38.12, 25.89. You have to list them in order from least to greatest. Let's look at the ones on the back now. On this one, they are talking about comparing it to the standard length of 22 inches. So 22 inches would be our 0. Negative 1/8 would mean that it was 1/8 less than 22 inches because it's to the left of 0. So I know that negative 1/8 is almost none, so I put it really close to 0. If I needed to be more specific, I could break my line into 8 equal parts, or you can just eyeball it and say negative 1/8 is about none because it's one piece out of 8. Jack was positive 1 3/4, so that means he was 1 inch and 3/4 more than the standard of 22. So again, 1 3/4 is almost 2, or halfway between 1.5 and 2. So I placed it close to the positive 2. And then negative 1/2, again, I know that's halfway in between 0 and negative 1, or I could compare it to the negative 1/8. It's negative 4/8, so it would be 4 of those pieces, just depending on what you need. Then to list them in order from least to greatest, we go left to right. So we have negative 1/2, negative 1/8, and then 1 3/4. Remember, for example 2, we were supposed to go greatest to least. A lot of times students make errors simply because they don't read carefully. So in this case, these are all bills, so they're all things that we owe, so they're all negative situations. So when I place them on the number line to go greatest to least, I go right to left. So negative 45 is the biggest, then negative 73.45, then negative 122. For 6, again, I have to think about negative 1/3. So I thought about 0. I know it's to the left. I kind of broke it into 3 equal pieces with the blue line. That's a negative 1/3. Then 0 is just 0. Negative 1/5, I broke it into 5 equal pieces. Again, I also thought of it as being almost none because it's 1 piece out of 5. 1/8, again, almost none, so I know it's close to 0. I know it's to the right of 0, so I could kind of place those easily. Then to list them greatest to least is 1/8, negative 1/5, negative 1/3. So if you finish these and there is still time left in your math class, you can go back to Schoology and go to the link that says integer. Let's see, we can look at it close. Go to this link that says Rational Numbers on a Number Line Games and play some of those games until time is up. If you get bored of those games, you may also go to Prodigy Game. Don't forget to do your homework, which is Lesson 8 worksheet, and bring it to class tomorrow.